Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Pharaohcast. And in today's episode, we sit down with Dalton Johnson, who tells us his story about becoming a full time coach, as well as how much do steroids actually help a person, and so much more. You're going to love this episode. Welcome to Pharaohcast, the official podcast of Pharaoh Fitness, where we build warriors, kings, and leaders both in and out of the gym. I'm your host, Jon Martin, founder of Pharaoh Fitness. Every month, we sit down with athletes, coaches, and fitness professionals to dive into their stories, their struggles, and the strategies that shaped their success. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, and like on all social media platforms. Links are in the description. All right. Let us know.
We
Yeah.
are rolling, sir.
We are rolling. Excellent. Excellent. Well, Dalton, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to meet with us. Um, you know, um, I wanted to give the audience kind of a little bit of a background of how we sort of met. And, with the gym community being, a tight knit group, I was following you on Instagram a long time ago before I even met you. And I went to Crunch Fitness in Fountain City in Knoxville, and I ran into you. And I saw this guy, and I said, "Is this you on Instagram?" You looked a lot like this guy. So I thought it was really cool to finally meet you then, and get you on the podcast to interview you, man. So excellent. Again, thanks for taking time out of your day to talk with us. Dalton, I've got so many questions to ask you, man. Um, I was looking at your Instagram, and I noticed recently you had made a switch full time to full time coaching from your regular job. Can you tell us, what made you finally bet on yourself to go full time coaching?
I think it's just as it really started to finally have traction within the business. So, with coaching, I had been coaching online and being a VP of sales for a supplement company and was a full time fuel accountant for Pilot Flying J. And I did all that plus bodybuilding and content. So, that was three jobs. And I still have the bad sleep routine where I'm waking up at 1 a.m. every single day because it's just engraved in me. But I really finally started to get better quality clients, started having better conversations, even just the moment with you, right? In
Yeah.
the crunch. Like people started to know me, and I think they started to respect the amount of knowledge that I can actually bring to the table. And then just in general, like my physique itself has started to develop a little bit more, and that always helps, right?
Yeah.
People get eyes on you, they come up to you like, "What are you doing, man?" And so just because of that, I've always been really big on building authentic relationships,
Yeah.
and it's like I planted all these seeds over the last 2 3 years, and everything just started finally sprouting. And because of it, I was getting overwhelmed. That work was telling me like, "Hey, you need to focus here," and I was like, "That's not where the majority of the money is made anymore, though." And so once I had that thought in my head, I was, "Well, what happens if I just full send it, right?"
Yeah.
And that's when I did. I just finally said, "Now's the time."
Yeah. Oh man, that's excellent. You had mentioned your Instagram videos, man. I love them. I think they're awesome. I love, you're always doing like voiceovers on some clips that are out there, and it's just they're very entertaining. So it's very awesome. So Dalton, I know you're in Knoxville. Can you tell me a little bit about like your beginnings? Like, how did you get into fitness, bodybuilding, all that stuff? And when did you start noticing, people are taking you serious with this?
I mean, really, I started lifting like back in high school, right? Doing the football workouts and whatever. And then I kind of never had any sort of diet or anything, but I maintained that even after high school, just lifting. But it got to a point where I was afraid to look in the mirror. Like genuinely, I would hate to see myself in the mirror because I'd work out with my buddies and they have all these veins, and then there's me, and it looked like melted ice cream, right? And one day I literally just said, like, what am I doing wrong? And I finally started to take it a lot more serious. Like I followed like a regimented training plan. That was first step. And then I started to track some calories, get some of that weight off. And that was back in 2021 where I just said, I want this big change. Instead of going out and drinking, smoking, hanging out, doing all that, I was like, I want to be something. And that's whenever I told all my friends, I was like, I think I want to be a bodybuilder. And they were like, all right, buddy. Yeah, have fun with that, you know? But I just stayed relentless on that pursuit because I was so passionate about it, and just seeing like that one extra vein or those 5 extra pounds go down, it just drove me deeper and deeper. But it did take a while for people to actually take me seriously. I mean, people didn't take me serious at first because I mean, I cut all the weight off. I'm 150 pounds and I'm lean, but now I'm saying I want to be a bodybuilder, and they're just still like, okay, you know? So it wasn't until my very first bodybuilding prep, I want to say that was back in 2023, when people started to look at me and be like, oh, like he's all in on this. He's bringing his Tupperware everywhere. We would go out, and I would be the one not drinking or anything, but still sitting there eating my meals. And that's when people started to be like, oh, no, like this is a big deal for him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it clearly is a big deal for you, so much to the fact that I saw that you won first place at the Dexter Jackson NPC Classic, man. Wow. Can you tell me, a little bit about that? What did that win prove to you, maybe as a bodybuilder?
Honestly, it just kind of like solidified like this is where I should be. And that entire prep was kind of just really messy. I had to switch coaches 4 weeks out. And so my first show ever had no coach there. It was just me and my wife at the time. And that was it. I mean, I got peeked over WhatsApp, right? And I just still I was terrified. Like there were dudes backstage chugging soy sauce. And my coach had just told me, like, hey, 30 minutes before stage, eat half a Pop-Tart. And I see guys like crushing all this food, and I'm just like, am I supposed to be doing that? Like, I don't know, you know? But no, I ate half my Pop Tart. I went out there and I just gave my best. That was my whole thing with that entire prep. It was just whether you win, lose, whatever, be on that stage, look around and say, well, I worked harder than all of you, and I can tell that, you know, and that's ultimately the biggest thing. But it did solidify that this is where I need to be and this is my passion, because I remember just winning, getting off stage and just like let loose, like tears. It was a very emotional moment because all those years when you feel like you're not enough, you try all these different things. You were the fat kid. You were, and I've never been on like a winning team growing up. Like football, our team went 1-9 like every year. And so to just finally have that taste of like a victory, it was something to like really solidify like, hey, this is where I belong. This is something I really want to pursue.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. That's really great to hear. Yeah, Dalton, I also saw like on your Instagram, you help coaches and athletes who are stuck. What, in your opinion, from what you've seen, what is one of the major reasons why they're not progressing?
I always say this, and it's consistency. Because consistency kills. And that's what, even in my own journey, that's why I've had success, right? It's because whether good, bad, ugly, whatever it is, I show up and I'm giving every single piece of me. And a lot of people, I mean, it just takes a different type of mindset to have that, to get kicked down over and over and over. Or say you're a coach, you're trying to land clients, you're booking calls, and then people don't show up. That takes a toll on someone mentally, and some people just aren't cut out to just keep going. Same thing for athletes. You try, you try, you try, you show up, you lose, right? You didn't get the outcome that you wanted. And then eventually some people lay down. And with me, I just knew that's never what I wanted. But I think that's what gets most people, is they end up just giving in to that voice inside their head, making them question, are they enough? Are they able to do it?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And this is sort of kind of in, relative to what we're talking about. I know you coach athletes, and what do you say or what do you examine first when they say, hey coach, I'm not growing, but I'm eating right, I'm training hard, I think my sleep's on point. Where do you start to look for maybe where things are going wrong?
Honestly, I mean, if nutrition truly is locked in, I'll mark it off the table. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but I will dramatically look at the training, and that's when I will request training footage because there's a big difference, and I think a lot of it has to do with all the social media clips and stuff that we see now of people just moving heavyweight and doing this and that and all these cool things. But in reality, when it comes to building a physique, it's a lot more tactful. You know, you need to be very intentional rather than egotistical. So making sure that when you are in the gym, you are actually working your back and not throwing your entire body throughout a movement. And so a lot of the times when people are like, man, I'm just not growing, my legs haven't grown in 3 years, and I'll ask them to send me a clip of their leg training, and we're maybe squatting 415, right? But they're not even getting parallel on a squat. Well, I'm like, hey, you just did a full set of half reps, right? And
Yeah.
you see that largely, predominantly in the gym from a lot of gym goers. You can look across the gym and be like, that guy's not should not be doing that way. Like I don't even do that way. Why is he? And then you watch and you're like, you're just like, I'm just gonna keep walking,
Yeah.
you know. But
Yeah.
that's ultimately what it is, just being able to train with intention. I think that's the biggest issue that people make because I made it for years. And as soon as you dial back that ego and actually learn to train for your body and the actual expected outcome,
Yeah.
you really start to see progress unfold, especially if they've gotten some progress while lifting like that. And then now they've just hit a sticking point.
Yeah. Yeah. So Dalton, do you do both like in person and online coaching?
I've always done online. I mean, I offer a lot of in-person advice, I would say, but I've never been like an in-person trainer or anything like that because I honestly like doing online because it allows you to see everything, right? Like just the personal trainers are typically there for just a workout, maybe once or twice, maybe a few times a month, a week, but they're not seeing what's going on throughout their entire life in terms of, hey, how was this week in terms of digestion, appetite? What stressors did you get? Oh, you got let go from your job this week? Like, and that all plays into like how that athlete is going to perform in the gym, how they're going to carry themselves, what their body's going to do if cortisol spiked. And so that's why I've always just enjoyed being online more because you control the entire process as opposed to just, hey brother, let's get this hour-long workout in together.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and that kind of brings me to my next question. Man, what separates a good online coach from just like an average online coach?
I honestly think it just comes down to communicating with your athletes. I mean, it's 1:45 today. I've probably talked to at least 25 of my guys already today.
Ooh.
And then they just being keeping that door open so your athletes can come to you and ask those niche questions that they may have and never then making them feel like ashamed to do so. Because if they feel comfortable with you and they trust you, whenever you give that feedback on their check-in, you don't have to worry about them buying in or not because they trust you. And so if you can develop that line of trust just through communication, your roster's going to excel because everything you tell them to do, they're like, I don't want to let coach down. I'm going to really go give this my all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got a question for you. So with I mean, obviously there, we can talk all day about the positives, the great results, all that thing. But
Right.
like what do you like I guess what do you do when you have a client that is like just all they are is an excuse maker? And
Hmm.
I mean, obviously it's like guys like you have a mindset, obviously, that, you can't just take it out of you and put it in someone else. So how do you really go about trying to give somebody that mindset who clearly doesn't have it?
I've had a few different clients like this. And honestly, I pick up the phone and I call them. We have a heart to heart. Like I really make them face themselves in the mirror. And that's the true thing that you have to do with those types of people is, hey, this is your goal, right? You told me you wanted this more than anything. More than anything, you wanted to look good on your wedding day. But here's all the things that we're not doing and why we're not getting there. But digging a little bit deeper and seeing why, like, hey, is this like a confidence issue? Is it that you feel like you can't execute the plan? Like, what is holding us back? And trying to really see what, like, kind of like what makes their mind them, like what sets them off. Kind of like if you guys ever heard like Honey Rambod, one of the great coaches,
Yeah,
always about like getting into the athlete's mind. And that's why if I see somebody always making excuses, maybe they're missing check-ins once or twice a month or something, I pick up and I give them a call and actually try to see like, how bad do you really want this goal? What's stopping you from getting there now? And then prying deeper. And almost all the time it's external stressors that are holding themselves back. So it's just giving them tips to try to work through those things and teaching them to try to be able to prioritize themselves in those moments.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. Like for me, and I know John probably didn't tell you much about me, but so I almost died back in October, and I didn't even know I had type 2 diabetes. I almost went into a coma. Since then, I've lost 70 pounds. I've reversed the type 2 diabetes, and like. I mean, I've been teaching John a little bit about nutrition in the process. Like he's just like, oh, I never thought of that. I have a lot of unique ways of going about it. But what I notice is like for me, it's and when I talk to other people who are on journeys who all they do is talk about the external stressors. Like if it wasn't back in December, oh, my wife's making Christmas candy. And it's like, so don't eat it. Just make a choice. Do you feel like people just don't understand how much control they actually have? Like I can control whether I sip from this or not.
Right.
No one's gonna make me. If someone upsets me and I drink it, I made the choice. Like what do you think is the real hang up for people not to be able to go, this is what I'm doing, I don't care what anyone else wants me to do, etc.
I think it's that last piece right there. It's that they do care what everybody else thinks about them and is what is going to say about them and how they're going to be perceived. But once you're able to set that aside, that's when the real goals that you want really kind of come out. It's so funny because I'm sure you guys relate to this, but it's like everything we want in life, we know what we need to do, but when we don't do half the stuff that we need to do to go do it. Right. And so many people get hung up on that because of the external factors. Like, what's the wife going to think? What's mom going to think? What am I going to do about work? Like all these factors of stressors come in and they end up just holding people back. But like, we know what we need to do. It's just a matter of actually taking the time and the priorities to be able to go and do it. But sometimes it's just the environment in itself will hold them back.
Yeah, a
Mhm.
quote that I heard once, and I think I told this to. Didn't I tell you about this, John? Where I heard this quote, where basically it came down to um, that this concept of nobody around me has to do anything different for me to win. And that's just a reminder of like, they're not the reason I'm not successful. They're not the reason I'm going to be successful. Only me. I'm the one who needs to make changes. And that might be cutting those people off. That might be, I'm sorry, I love your cooking, wife, but I have to take control of this, so I'm going to make my own food. You have to do that, and no one else has to change but you. And I wish
Mhm.
more people really could grasp that.
hmm I do too. I mean, I had let a lot of relationships go, a lot of friends go, everything like that, just to be able to get to where I am now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Dalton, I kind of want to steer this back to sort of like a coaching philosophy or like perception. Um, when I look at you, Dalton, I can tell you're in shape. I look at you, he's fit. He clearly knows what he's doing. Can a coach truly be elite if they've never built an impressive physique themselves?
I think they can 1,000%, but I do think it's also something that they need to have tried before. Maybe they didn't excel at it, but they gained the knowledge from it and then continued that knowledge to be able to help others. Stefan, I think it's Kienzle, or he coaches like Martin, Wesley Vissers, a lot of
Yeah.
the other guys. If you look at his physique, that guy looks like he lit like the Chicken Man off Toy Story almost. Like he looks like he's never touched a weight. He did used to bodybuild, but now he's one of the top coaches in the game. So it's not necessarily that you have to have the most impressive physique of all time to be able to be a good coach,
Yeah.
but you would want to have the impressive knowledge base, like the facts
Right.
that come behind it, being able to actually educate someone, but also just being able to work someone. That's what all great coaches can do. They build relationships, they get into the mind, and then be able to build people up. And only a few people can truly do that.
Yeah. Yeah, like when I look at Hani
Yeah.
Rambod, his physique doesn't like jump off, and it's like really impressive, but his knowledge, the people he works
Mhm.
with, he's proven himself. And I'd call him an elite coach. So,
100%.
yeah, absolutely. So then Dalton, I do you guys at Muscle Forge, do you guys work with enhanced athletes?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I have a few different guys that are definitely enhanced, and then the other half, my natural guys.
Okay, so that leads me to a good question. How much do anabolic steroids really help in bodybuilding and in an athlete?
They make a difference. I'm not gonna lie. There's no secrets there, but I will say it is not the most important factors. The most important factors are always going to come back to the nutrition and the training. Because if you see most of the guys at the gym, there's a lot of those guys that I know that are taking more gear than I am, and they look like a meatball. And it's just because they didn't do the basics first. Like the basics were never broken. But I will say, like, if you're able to do all of the things, right? Say we lock down the diet, nutrition, cardio, steps,
Yeah.
the sleep schedule's on point, and then you just happen to sprinkle a little bit on top. Yeah, I mean, it's going to help quite a bit, but you have to lock down those basics first before you add the sprinkles on top.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. Get the fundamentals down first before worrying about the sprinkles on top. Dalton, I know you got to run, man, but I got one last question to ask you. Tom and I interviewed Dave Palumbo a couple months ago, and we'd asked him about Anavar, and he gave us an awesome take on his opinion about Anavars, calling them expensive Tic Tacs. Dalton, what's your opinion on Anavar?
I fucking love it. I love Anavar. Anavar is honestly really good because it's great for collagen synthesis. And so, because of that, it's really good on the joints, especially for guys that do have a lot of joint issues. And that's why it's prescribed at a lot of the TRT clinics, just because as guys are getting older, they're not as mobile, they have a lot of joint issues. There is a thing like people think it's not that powerful, but it's not meant to be like this crazy anabolic like all the other steroids. And that's why it is very like good to have it as a like a supplement in a stack almost, because it's just like that underlying thing that can help you just that one little bit, and it doesn't have very many side effects. Like I've seen guys take it year round and then their liver values are fine, but they were able to progress up in their numbers in the gym by taking it pre-workout dramatically. So strength went through the roof. And I see that as a win instead of saying, hey, let's crank a bunch of Anadrol and D-ball or whatever, blow it up like a balloon, and then try to do it. So everybody has their own take, but I think, like Anavar is like the Mercedes steroid, man. Like it is more expensive, but it does exactly what it's intended to do without harming you terribly on the inside.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Dalton. Well said. Well, Dalton, I think we're out of time, man. I want to appreciate you so much for coming on the show. Loved having you, man. So thank you so much, man.
No, thank you guys for having me. It was a blessing to be here, guys. Thank you.
Hopefully, we'll do it again soon. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you,
Awesome.
Dalton. See ya. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe on all social media platforms. We also want to give a shout out to Species Nutrition for giving us these great products.